With my Raptors at a point where I have enough to run a full 2,000 point army, I now have much more freedom to add the units that I just think would be cool. So let's build a Ballistus Dreadnought and give him a sniper rifle. The basis of this kit bash was the Brutalis Dreadnought, for the sole reason that it is the only variant of the Redemptor that has 2 full arms rather than a fist arm and a gun arm, which, if I wanted him to hold a sniper rifle, he would need 2 for. But before I could worry too much about the arms, I first needed to build the legs and torso. To give me a little more freedom in how I pose the model, I removed the tabs and pegs on the joints, which would allow me to open up the joints a little more. Now this wouldn't be a proper Space Marine build without a tactical rock, so I took the spare piece of scenery, but any piece of rubble or rocks would suffice. The intention really was to just add a little extra detail to the base and give the model a less static final pose. To create a suitable surface to mount the Dreadnought to, I first needed to saw down the piece so that it could fit against the base at a shallow angle. After sawing away the bulk, I then sanded down and smoothed down the contact point to allow me to firmly attach it to the base. With the rubble in place, I could now use it to build the legs and torso, achieving the slightly more dynamic pose that I was aiming for. Next up were the arms. With the torso and legs in place, I could more easily build the arms around them. But to achieve much more flexibility in the arms posing, I had to heavily adjust all of the joints. This even included some of those inner tabs of the shoulder pieces, which I carefully ground away. After a quick dry fit of the various right arm pieces, I realized that I would need to be much more brutal in my removal of the tabs and replace a number of joints completely. So I started cutting, grinding, and sanding. The first to go were the pegs that would attach the shoulders to the torso, followed by the disc attached to the upper arm. The circular cog that would normally form the elbow was also cut down to create a kind of scoop rather than a full circle. The shoulder hole in the torso was then widened out just enough to superglue in a 9mm ball bearing. These bearings would form the basis of my new joints and would provide me with a vastly improved amount of posability. After the shoulder, a second bearing was glued to the shallow dish that I created on the upper arm piece, forming the elbow joint. With the joints replaced, I did a quick dry fit to make sure everything was lining up and see how much space I had for my next task, the Dreadnought-sized sniper rifle. But before we go on, I just wanted to point out the rotary tool that I've been using. This is the F2 Master from Fantic, who are also the sponsors of this video. As you've already seen, I've been putting this to good use whilst building my Dreadnought. I've used other rotary tools in the past, but only when I really needed to, and the biggest reason for that is just how bulky they are for the fine detail work that I do in these conversions. But the F2 Master has been really comfortable and easy to work with. It's sleek and fits nicely into my hand, meaning I can make those trickier adjustments much more easily. Plus, not having that cable get in the way has been great. It's rechargeable too. Just plug in a USB-C port and you'll be charged in about 60 minutes with more than enough juice for your entire project. It has 5 speeds and maxes out at 25,000 RPM. But even running at full tilt, it's still pretty quiet and doesn't melt your hand off even after using it for a while. But that's just the tool itself. Let me talk to you about the case. It's made from that same dark aluminium and keeps both the tool and your bits safe and neat in a compact case. Just press down the top to eject the tool, R2-D2 style, and pull it out the inside to reveal this little carousel of cutting, grinding, drilling, engraving, and polishing accessories. Regardless of if you're using it for your conversions like I am, other crafty hobbies, or even just DIY around the home, the F2 Master from Fantic is an incredibly useful tool to have. Click on the links in the description and use my code PETEF2M for a total of 33% off your own Fantic F2 Master cordless rotary toolkit. So let's continue to put this to good use as I carry on building my Dreadnought. In terms of the rules, I'll be running this as the twin last cannons, but on the model itself, I instead decided to give my own Ballistus Dreadnought an anti-material rifle. It's the same end result, but this kinetic rather than energy-based weapon approach let me use the twin Iron Hail autocannon from the Invicta Warsuit kit as the basis of the build. I started by carefully removing the barrels and kept them to one side for the time being. To help extend the rifle, I then grabbed one of the last cannons from the Gladiator Lancer that I had left over from my Land Raider build. I removed both the hinge and the muzzle, retaining the latter for later on. Returning to the autocannon, I then clipped away the top halves of the circular elbow joints and began assembling. After attaching the last cannon to the autocannon, I then grabbed that autocannon barrel I'd removed earlier, and after clipping away the muzzle, I attached the barrel and the lascannon muzzle to the rest of the rifle. But this wouldn't be a sniper rifle without a scope. To build one in the correct scale, I dipped into the Horus Heresy vehicle accessory frame and grabbed the searchlight and missile launcher. To make the protruding missile tip look more like a rounded lens, I carefully centered it down before sawing away both the launcher's tube and the back of the light. After smoothing out the contact points, the two were glued together back to back and then mounted to the gun with the searchlight piece facing forwards. The final detail was a grip, and this was also taken from the Invicta warsuit. I had to trim down one of the hanging cables first, but once that was out of the way, I glued it into place. Now that I had my rifle, I needed a way to attach it to the Dreadnought arm, and this problem was solved yet again by the Invicta warsuit. This particular kit comes with parts to assemble an open left hand, but I needed a right hand. Fortunately, this was pretty straightforward to switch over. All I needed to do was to grind out another thumb hole for the palm plate. This allowed me to flip it upside down, attach the fingers, and create a right hand. After doing another dry fit to give myself an idea of how everything was lining up, I began locking it all in place with some superglue. The upper arm was attached to the torso first, but before I continued, I decided to attach the sarcophagus plate and frontal armor as the rifle would get in the way. But before I did anything, I repeated my usual Raptor steps of shaving away any embossed details and iconography. With the surfaces smoothed out, they were glued to the torso. Another detail that would be obscured by the rifle's presence were the chest-mounted stormbolters. I would come back to these later on, but for now, I just needed to fill in this area. So, using the original cowlings, I just glued them on backwards to create a solid piece of armor facing forwards. From here, I could finally return to assembling the right arm. After supergluing the forearm to the upper arm, the rifle and hand were then attached with another ball bearing serving as the wrist. Again, these bearings provided far more flexibility in the posing, but I did decide to mask the more prominent elbow joint a little. For this, I simply repurposed one of the original elbow joint pieces. I clipped away the peg from the rear of the plate and superglued this in place. For the left arm, it was just a case of repeating all those same steps from the right arm. However, for the hand, I didn't need something quite as nimble as the left, which meant that the original hand from the Brutalis kit could be used instead. I did, however, omit the use of the armor around the joints to help slim down the hand somewhat. With the arms in place, I decided to bulk out the rifle a little with a couple more parts from the autocannon. This included the plates that I first shaved the nubs away from, followed by the bar that I mounted towards the back. A giant mech suit like this wouldn't really need a stock to resist the recoil, but it helped to balance out the rear of the rifle just a little. But the lascannon was only one of the weapons that the ballistas has. The other main armament is of course the missile launcher array, and this was also sourced from the Impulsor/Gladiator kit. With both arms occupied though, I had to look elsewhere on the model for somewhere to mount it. I played around with mounting it directly to the top and offset to one side, but thanks to the help of my fantastic supporters over on Discord, I decided to place it behind the right shoulder. I needed a way to mount it though, and so I created a bracket of sorts using the dozer blade from the Horus Heresy vehicle accessory sprue. This was trimmed down until I had just 2 of the teeth and 1 of the struts remaining. After a quick comparison, I cut the teeth at an angle in order to allow me to mount the launcher at a slight off vertical angle. But before I could mount the launcher to the Dreadnought, I first had to remove some more iconography. With the launcher attached, the model nicely matched my solution to my Raptor Desolation Marines. The final weapons that Ballistas Dreadnoughts are armed with are those stormbolters that I omitted from the chest. I needed somewhere else to mount them, and that stubber turret that the Brutalis Dreads have mounted above their sarcophagus seemed like the ideal spot. It was also really straightforward to create them. I simply took the stubbers, clipped away their barrels, and drilled some central holes. Once assembled, I had a twin Stormbolter mini turret. From here, it was just a case of building out some of those details. I sorted this out with the armor across the legs, but I did decide to repurpose some of the disc-shaped armor that is normally mounted to the joints. I used the larger knee discs to block in the holes at the hip, and then switched the hip armor around so that the flat panel faces upwards rather than forwards. The small discs were then used to further cover up and bulk out those elbow joints. Another detail that you may have noticed already, and that was pointed out by the folks over on my Discord, was the fact that it'd be really difficult for the Dreadnought to use the scope by looking through the eyepiece. So, in the same way that Eliminator's last fusil are wired directly to their goggles, I decided to hardwire the scope. This was achieved with a piece of plastic rod that would serve as a suitably chunky and hard-wearing cable. Using a series of careful bends, I slowly formed the rod to run down one side of the sarcophagus, loop down below the rifle, and then back up to the scope. Then, to mount it, I drilled a hole into the torso and then another into the scope before gluing the rod into place. This cable would allow the interred pilot to see whatever the rifle was pointed at, and the slack would allow the Dread to feasibly change position as needed. One more detail to add were of course those pouches that the rest of my Raptors have. Now of course, these wouldn't be usable by the Dreadnought himself, but I like to imagine him acting as a bit of an equipment mule for the other Marines. For these, I used some of the Eradicator's last fusil battery packs with the cables removed, along with the pouches from my very own Sorcerer's Spoils kit. I did toy with mounting these to the legs for easier access by his brothers, but they didn't look right. So instead, they were glued to the chest. Even if they are a little less accessible, it would at least make this Dreadnought not feel left out among the infantry. All that was left to do now was to add a little extra detail to the base in the form of some torn up cork floor tiles that I superglued around the piece of ruined terrain, and the model was ready for painting. Which was done in the exact same way as I've tackled all of my other Raptors. So rather than repeating all those steps here, I will direct you towards my jump pack intercessors video, which I'll include a link to in the top right and in the description. Once the Dreadnought was complete, I was left with this. And here we have the finished Ballistus Dreadnought for my Raptors. There was of course nothing wrong with the original Ballistus model, but I just thought that building a Dreadnought with a giant sniper rifle would fit the theme of my Raptors a little more. Plus, I quite like the idea of these being crewed by former Eliminators who are still able to put their skills to good use. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out all of my previous Raptor builds that I've put in a handy playlist. And if you'd like to build this model for yourself, I'll include some links to the kits that I used down in the description, along with some affiliate links to where you can get your own. I've also partnered with Warhouse, so if you're in Australia, New Zealand, or any country for that matter, and are looking for some discounted Warhammer, be sure to follow my links to them down below. But before I go, I would like to give all of my Patreon supporters and channel members a huge thank you. YouTube isn't the most reliable source of income, so having that continued support from my channel members and patrons is just amazing, and it really is thanks to them that you're watching this very video. Even if you're not able to support me financially just by sticking around this far into the video, leave me a like and subscribing. You're doing a massive amount to support me in making more kit bashes like this. But if you would like to help me out, you can also check out my website, sparepartsemporium.com, to pick up one of my kits, or you too can become a Patreon supporter or channel member. Members get early access to ad-free videos, exclusive merchandise, and even your name in the credits. Simply follow my Patreon link below or hit the join button. Just like my top Patreon supporters did, who are Andrew Marston, Banyevrian, Berserker, Dakota Gaburi, Daniel Dowling, David Ernst, David Smith, George Kanzini Roberts, Little Templar, Matt's Mini Minute, No Name, Samuel Sepavida, Son of Sevatar, Swedsman, Tim, and Zeth27. And my top channel members, who are Andrew Chal, Ben Glover, Bon Johnson, Chris Toomey, Dante, Dave, Doug H, Guy Bazant, High Marshal Creed, Jacob Goldsmith, John Gibbs, Kaiser Waffle 11, Lariat11, Liminal Journey, Mark Taylor, Peter Pogon, Nerdington Paint, Panzercast 32, Patrick K, Philippoia, Rhino Shaughnessy, SO, TTS Dark Arts, The Sigh Required, and Whale Tussler. So until next time, thanks for watching, and goodbye.